Deanie Cox, hello and welcome to the Media Box. Your report is about the Assembly's vision on the strategic priorities for the Council of Europe. Indeed, they're very fine priorities, but there seem to be a growing number of countries that are members of the Council of Europe that are disregarding but starting to disregard human rights and the rule of law. How big a problem is that, and what's happening?
That is indeed, Jim, a very big problem. There is a big gap between what we say that we want as 47 member states and what we deliver in this respect. But this has always been the problem, of course, of the Council of Europe, and it was founded over 70 years ago. The continent was in ruins after the Second World War, and only few countries met and said, we want to unite Europe. And as Chancellor Merkel said earlier this morning to the Assembly when she was addressing us, look to all the achievements that we have gained since then. And this is what I said now today to the Assembly. Yes, there are good reasons to have a lot of worries because a lot of things are going awfully wrong in Europe, in our 47 member states and between our 47 member states. But if we do not have the courage of those who founded the Council of Europe 70 years ago, then the Council of Europe comes to an end. And therefore it's needed that we have strategic priorities in which we indicate what does the biggest and the oldest treaty organization of Europe, which focuses on human rights and rule of law and democracy, what does it want to achieve in the coming decade? And yes, that's, as one of the delegates said, that's a very bold program that I presented, but I presented it with the full support of the Political Affairs Committee. And I think I will get large support when we are voting in a few moments on this report. So yes, this is a bold program, but without ideals and without clear propositions, we will not achieve anything. As President Dahm said, we should not try to be a part of a problem, we should be part of a solution.
How are you going to achieve that, though? Because it's not easy. Some of these countries, because they are disobeying the rules that they signed up to, other countries are tempted to follow them. So what can the Assembly do to try to bring everyone back into line?
That's easier said than done, Jim. But if we today adopt and endorse my resolution and the recommendation that we sent to the Committee of Ministers, then this is the vision on strategic priorities of the whole Assembly. Whether or not you like it, then you are engaged in it. And when we put it on the agenda of the Committee of Ministers, which will discuss these strategic priorities next month when it's meeting in its ministerial conference, and when the Committee of Ministers endorses our proposals or take them into account, then all 47 member states are bound to give a follow-up to that. So I do not order anybody to do anything. We parliamentarians ask our ministers, our governments to do something, and if the ministers agree, then we have to do something. That's the basis of a treaty organization, as the Council of Europe has been and will be in the future.
Having said that, in Russia, for instance, it is now actually against the law. They brought in a law to prevent people from respecting judgments of the Court of Human Rights. Now, that's a very worrying development, isn't it?
As said, there are very many worrying developments in Europe, and in times which are, as I said, very challenging and often very dangerous. Chancellor Merkel said more or less the same. Then we notice that states, nations, they think that they can govern the world by themselves and they can order everybody to do what they want. But this is not what a treaty organization is about. And yes, there are silly laws in Russia. There are silly laws in many other member states of the Council of Europe. But in the end, all 47 member states have signed the statute and ratified the statute, have signed the Convention on Human Rights, have ratified the Convention of Human Rights, and that is binding law. And whatever position a member state may wish to take, binding international law means binding international law. And if you do not accept that, you place yourself outside of that international organization. And that's why it is so important, and this was also emphasized by Chancellor Merkel today, that we now have this new joint procedure in case that a member state blatantly violates its own obligations, which it has taken upon itself voluntarily. Then in the end, we can say, sorry, if you do not want to live up to your own commitments, then there's no place for you in this organization.
Deanie Cox, thank you very much indeed for joining me. and have a very good day.
My
Goodbye.
pleasure. Bye, Jim.